Hello and welcome to this demonstration of Express Maintenance. My name is Eric Waymeyer, and I would encourage you to put your seatbelt on. This is a full demonstration, so this could easily end up being 45 minutes, but we've had lots of people request it, and so I wanted to make sure that we do a good job. And so, of course, you can always visit our YouTube channel to see different breakdowns of the software interface. But this is going to be a full demonstration. So here we go. I wanted to start out by introducing you guys to our website. That's www.expressmaintenance.com. And just a couple things that you need to know about. We have different products listed here, the Express Maintenance software. We also have our hosted version of the software, so that cloud version, and the Express Request software. Now, Express Request is going to come with either one of these, but it's important that you know that that is an option for you. Then we also have the mobile app, which also comes with either one of these, but the mobile app is also an option. When it comes to services, don't feel like if you purchase Express Maintenance, or even if you are a current user of Express Maintenance, that you have to go at this software alone. An enterprise asset management software like Express Maintenance is very detailed. It's like a complex vehicle that you really shouldn't expect to have to build on your own. Our goal is to be the engineers and the team that helps you build this program. And then we just want to put you in the driver's seat. You and your technicians, your engineers, we want you guys to be able to use this software. It should be very easy to use. And so we provide maintenance engineering. We provide implementation support. We provide all kinds of engineering services remotely. Helping you guys develop reports for your KPI, do training for maintenance managers on what KPIs they should be looking for, training for end users on the software, on Express Request, and all kinds of things. So just know that this is not just a software. We want to be a solution, which is why Express Maintenance is a subsidiary of Manufacturing Asset Solutions, which MAS is the whole goal of the company is to provide manufacturers like you with a solution that's going to be a value-added asset. So then resources, you always want to make sure that you check here for system requirements, see our updated blogs, but then also you want to check our under services, you want to make sure you can update the software and see our latest releases and things like that. Feel free to always get a quote or schedule a demo. If you pick to get a quote, then you're going to be taken to all right. So without further ado, let's get into the software. Okay, welcome to Express Maintenance. Now, Express Maintenance is your enterprise asset management system. It should operate like your maintenance brain. So you should be able to plug in all your equipment, parts, and services, combine them together so that it creates an automated preventive maintenance program or inspection program. And it can be used for other things like environmental health and safety, for quality, for some calibrations and tooling, but its primary objective is enterprise asset management. So what you're looking at here is the work order overview. And what I typically like to do is take a look at Express Maintenance from two perspectives. One is the end user perspective, and then we kind of take a peek behind the curtain and look at this from an administrative or a managerial position. And so what you're looking at here on the work order overview is what an end user is going to see when they fire up Express Maintenance. And so the technicians, when they sit down at the computer for the day, they should be able to come over here to the technician, pick their name, hit search, and they should see every work order that is assigned to them. And then to get more specific, they want, if you guys have a planner scheduler or you guys are properly resourcing your work orders, taking them through that planning scheduling process, then they should be able to click on the classification of scheduling here, click on those work orders that are already scheduled, which means they've already gone through the review process, the parts and waiting on parts, It's been ready to schedule. It's been scheduled. They've coordinated it with production already. It's already scheduled. Hit search. Here's all of the work orders that are assigned to me that I can now go and work off of. Okay, so I can pick any one of these, and we'll pick this welder right here. We see that with this, this is the work order. I have a work order number, the unit name, its unit number, where it's at, when it was scheduled, the category, group, and class. So the category shows us whether or not it's planned or demand. The group shows us whether or not, if it is planned, is it preventive maintenance? Is it predictive maintenance? Was it a work order that was generated from one of those two? That's very important. If it's demand work, what kind of breakdown code is it? And just know that anywhere you see these drop downs, every single one of these fields is completely customizable to you. So you'll have that option. Now, it's important that you are able to compartmentalize your work orders by planned and demand for future KPI reporting. You want to be able to track and trend your proactive versus reactive maintenance culture. You need to be able to split up your work orders that way. Okay, then you can also see that you have when it was created, its priority. The source field here just gives us whether or not it was a manual input, it came from a preventive maintenance schedule, or it came from express request. If it did come from a request, then you'll have the requester name here. If there is a sub requester listed, you'll see that here, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. Work group and technician. Okay, down here you can see the labor rate. This is the average burden labor rate. You can see the total number of hours of service history on this work order. You can see the counts. This would be any counts on machines, so or vehicles, like trucks have miles and pumps have hours. You could track those right here in the counts. And this is a place where you manually enter the count, and that updates the equipment record. And then you have your downtime, and your downtime is recorded with a downtime clock here. You just simply put what time it went down. When you insert the record, it gives you the downtime right now. Then you can click this to give you the uptime. You can manually change it if you need to. And when you hit save, it's going to give you the total hours down to the third decimal. Okay, so we're not worried about that on this work order because it's a preventive maintenance, but that would also get recorded right here. So then on the next screen here, or the next section of the work order screen, you have your services, your parts, your attachments, and technician notes. So the services is a place where you actually add the service that's being performed. Now, a work order doesn't have to be just one service. In fact, you could even do an entire plant shutdown on one work order by adding all of the services that are required. So if I wanted to add another service just like this one, but assign this to Gary Brown for 4 hours, and I'm sorry, estimated labor here, 4 hours, and then me 4 hours, because it's an 8-hour task, I could split it up that way. Okay, what do the work instructions look like? They look like this. Here's the welder monthly offline. And these are completely customizable by you. You can be as detailed or as general as you want. You can create check boxes here that technicians can actually use. Enter here, hit the checkbox button. Now I can actually check these boxes off either in the software or on the mobile app, or it can just be some general work instructions that you then save and you can print off at another time. If I print this selected work order with service notes, then here's what those services look like. One's for me and one's for Gary. Okay, you can also use HTML formatted as well, whichever one you prefer. So you can add those services here, but you can also add parts. So let's say I needed a bearing for this service, or I needed a filter for this service. It's just going through all the parts in my system. I need to make sure that I add quantity that for those parts, and then go to attachments. I can add some documents. If this is a vendor managed work order, Then the vendor would be listed up here in the technician. They could send me their invoice and I could insert that invoice into this record to carry along with the work order. And then you have your technician notes. This is where they write specific notes about what they did. And this is really more by facility standard operating procedures, SOPs, however you guys want to use these fields. But at the end of the day, you want to take a look at, let me see, I need to go to my editor here. There we go. Yes, get that taken off my screen. So how do we complete a work order? All right, the way you complete a work order, you type in your notes, add any attachments, go to parts. Yep, that looks good. Services. Yep, I completed these today. I need to put in my actual hours. We'll say Gary took 4.5 hours. Oops. And I took 5 hours. And I'm going to save that. And then I need to put in when I actually started it, when it got completed. Okay. Now I'm going to come up here and click this green checkbox. What this green checkbox does is it's going to complete all the necessary records. So notice I haven't clicked complete here yet. Under the parts, I haven't clicked complete. If I don't have this checkbox under complete checked, then it's not going to consume that from inventory. Now I can go through and check every single one of these individually, or I can simply use this green check and it's going to go through and check and add the right perform dates to my parts and services. It's going to show me my total labor hours up here now. It's going to calculate automatically based on my labor hours and my burden labor rate, what my total labor cost for this work order is, what my parts cost and total cost to maintain on this work order is right here. And see, what you're doing is you have a one work order screen where everything gets completed, and then you are building good service history. And that service history is going to be critical in how you adjust your PM schedule, how you engineer your maintenance management, your enterprise asset management strategy. It's absolutely critical. And all of this requires that the system is set up with great detail and a lot of care. You go back to that vehicle analogy. If I don't have all of my parts in the system, and then when I come down here to enter a part, if that part isn't here, then that's like having one wheel off of my vehicle. If I don't have all the technicians entered here, then that's like missing a steering wheel. If I don't have all the equipment in a system, then that's like trying to drive without a windshield. What we want to do is provide you with a high performance, quality engineered maintenance management software. And that is going to take some implementation time, but once you do that, it's going to work just like I showed you. And it's going to be great for you and your company. Now, moving on, what we just did was we completed a preventive maintenance service. Okay, so here's the service that we completed. This would have come from my service overview. So a little bit behind the scenes here. The service overview shows you what equipment has what services that are coming due. And I like to sort by my unit name so that if I have two units with the same, with the 3-month and the 6-month here, I can grab those two and convert them into work orders. And then I can go ahead and get those scheduled on one work order, as opposed to trying to create multiple work orders. Well, if one person can knock out the 3-month and the 6-month PM at the same time, then it just makes sense to keep it on one work order, and it's more efficient that way. So grouping your work orders is a more efficient method. So that's one way of doing it. And then let's see, clear that out. I want to show all. There we go. So here's all of the services that are due, and the red indicates that they're overdue. You can see their period and interval and how long it is before they come due, how many parts are required on that service. who's responsible for that service. You can pre-assign all of this, and I'll show you how this all gets set up just briefly here in a little bit. But this is where, after you've entered all of that equipment on the unit, so we'll jump to that air dryer. Here's that service that's listed under the equipment. Once you have it listed here, then it shows up on the service overview, and all you're having to do is pick them, convert them to work orders, and make sure that they go through that planning scheduling process. Okay, so moving on. The other type of work orders, we've looked at these planned proactive, but the other kind are these demand reactive here. So if I click on this Ford F-250, it looks like there's 2 replacements. I need to replace a belt and a bearing. This is a mechanical breakdown, as you can see, and I need to complete that. Now, as a technician, I can just come in here and enter a work order. So if I insert record, I can get a blank work order and just start filling it in with the equipment name and all of that. However, another way to get work orders is to go through requests. Now, a requester can open up Express Request, and when they do, they get to submit a work order request, which just requires them to input the equipment that they want service on, the service that they want to select, and their priority date. And then there's a place for notes. Well, once they do that, those requests come into this portion of Express Maintenance. And if it's a new request, this down here will be flashing, and you can view incoming requests to get this screen. Once you see this, you can now select that and convert that to a work order. Once you convert it to a work order, you can pick the category. In this case, it's demand, group. It looks like a breakdown, classification. Maybe I just need to move it to needs reviewed. And that's all I'm going to do right now. Then it takes me to my work order screen, and I can either begin the planning scheduling process or leave it there until I have a day where I'm actually going through all of my needs reviewed, which just looks like this. I can pick all of the work orders that needs reviewed, excuse me, and start going through each one of these and then advancing them through that process, seeing if they need parts or if they're ready to schedule. Okay, so you have your planned maintenance or your scheduled maintenance. Then you have your demand maintenance or your unscheduled maintenance. And all of those end up going here to the work order. Now, once they're completed, you have some really great service history. You're going to be able to run things like your failure metrics. Under failure metrics tab, this is your mean time between failure. And what it's going to show you is, like here, it's saying that this air dryer, AD02, is failing on average every 17.857 days. Okay, now that's huge for your root cause analysis, your RCA. You need to have a starting point, and your mean time between failures is an excellent place to start. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to clue you into on which equipment is taking up a majority of your repair time. And if you can increase your time between failure, you're converting your reactive maintenance environment into a proactive one. So you need to have an engineer take a look at this and figure out what's wrong. Is it a part that we're using that's failing on us? Do we need to get a new supplier? Is it the same technician working on that work order, working on that machine, and maybe they just don't know what they're doing? Is it a really old machine? And you run your total cost to maintain report and find out that you're spending just about as much every year to maintain that piece of equipment as you would if you just bought a new one. Speaking of that report, really easy to run. If we just want to look at the last year's total cost to maintain report, it looks like this. So here's all the equipment, their work order counts, labor hours, labor costs, parts costs, taxes, other costs, and total costs. And you can see what equipment's costing you the most based on this report. So with just a little bit of combined information, you can get some really great intel into your assets, and that should be the data that comes from your enterprise asset management software from Express Maintenance should help you make timely, actionable, and intelligent business decisions instead of just reacting to everything. And that's critical. And that is part of your whole enterprise asset management strategy. Okay, the other one that we have is mean time to repair. So what's the average time that it takes to repair equipment? In here you can see these are pretty preposterous numbers. Hopefully none of your equipment takes 328 days to repair. That's just our work order system in this demo, but the fire safety master unit's taking 328 days to repair on average. That's unacceptable, but it is that is a clue into, okay, why is this machine down for that long? And that's something that you have to consider. Okay, again, as part of the service history that you're now collecting on your equipment, you can run all kinds of reports. So you have your unit downtime summary report. So for the past year, here's the equipment, here's a number of work orders, here's the days and time down. That's critical. You also have your services scheduled by all units. This is a list of your PM program. So the service and unit name. You have employee services and time summary. So one of the things that we encourage you to track is your wrench time, which is a division of your work order labor hours per employee divided by their time card time. So I would run this over a week's period. And if Austin Floyd here has 30 hours, but on work orders, but on her time card, she has 50, then that is, what is that? That's 60% wrench time. And so we want to see that up at 90%, 95%. And that's how you know that you are getting the most out of your human assets, your technicians. So lots of other reports and things to do. But now that you have completed your work orders, a couple things have happened. One, on these planned work orders, when you complete this service, it's going to automatically reschedule. It'll show back up in your service overview based on its reschedule algorithm. But then you've also completed and consumed parts. So you have a parts inventory section of Express Maintenance. Here you can see the parts description. You can see the part number, the type, the category, the criticality, the primary vendor, the vendor part number, the manufacturer part number. You can see where it's actually stored, including the shelf and bin. You can print barcodes off for these parts and affix those to the bins and racks so that you can scan them with your mobile app, and you can scan them directly to a work order, or you can scan them directly to a receiving record or a purchase order. You can see your usage analysis, and that's your parts. Now, when you consume parts, one other thing I wanted to show you on this one that most people like is you can actually associate equipment and parts together. So I can right-click on this equipment and jump to the unit, and also vice versa, see what parts are used on that piece of equipment. And you can build your list of materials right here. So if you end up ever taking an asset out of commission and those parts are no longer necessary, you have a list of all the ones that you can now take off the shelf, send to auctioneers, or send to another plant. But that's another part of maintaining your asset, is having that linkage between your parts and your equipment. So back to parts inventory, when I consume those parts, I need to be reordering them based on my minimums. So I go to inventory analysis and I go to reorder. When I hit search, it's going to look at what parts have met my minimums, and it's going to tell me how many I need to order. And so I'm going to click here and create a purchase order, all this vendor, and it's going to take that part, put it into a purchase order. I'm going to save that purchase order. And of course, you can get more detailed here. Notice the purchase order number is 1118. Once I email or send that PO out to the vendor, I need to create a receiving record. When that part comes back in, type in that PO number. It's going to bring that part in. I'm going to say I received 2 of 2, save it, close the PO. Now I just increase my quantity on hand for that ball bearing by 2. And that's how you maintain parts and manage your parts inside Express Maintenance. Excuse me. Once you, and you can also on purchase orders, you can just create a purchase order and add parts to it if you need to. You don't have to use the reorder report. It's just a handy way to kind of automate the parts management. Now, a question that typically comes up at this point is, well, what if we already use a purchase order software? No problem. We'll work with you and create an automated programming interface that will automate communication, purchase order information from Express Maintenance into your purchasing software, so you can enter it into Express Maintenance, but then your other software will pick it up, and then you can receive it in either one and update both at the same time. That's something that we are very familiar with, and it's a commonly asked service. But if you're looking for a standalone and you can submit purchase orders directly from Express Maintenance, you can do that from right here. Okay, so let's take a little bit of a quick peek behind the curtain. I've showed you a lot of how Express Maintenance is used, but that's like as a salesman, me walking you around the car lot and showing you all the features and functions of the vehicle. Now we're going to take a look under the hood. So in order to have an effective maintenance management system, you have to have all of course, your primary data tables filled out, but the 3 most important to any enterprise asset management are your assets, your parts, and your services. And then you have to combine those things together. So if I look at my equipment list, you have to add all your equipment. Okay, here's the list of equipment here. In Express Maintenance, you get unlimited everything. So if you want to have 10,000 assets in here, that's fine. 100,000 parts, that's fine. You want to list a million services, that's okay. You want to add 1,000 users, no problem. We handle very large corporations with 70 plus sites around the world, and they use this without any issues. And so when it comes to these main components of a maintenance management system, you have to have your equipment, and this is your equipment. You can see you have your name, type, category, make, model, criticality, capacity, year, serial number, unit number, its current count date, install date, what it's attached to build parent-child relationships. You can see a quick snapshot of your mean time between failure and mean time to repair. You see your site and location, where it's actually sitting, what work group is responsible, and what email is responsible. Someone's messing with me here. There we go. Then if that's not enough information for you, you have device information here, attachments. Attachments can be OEM manuals, files, drawings, pictures, PDFs. It's also going to show you what equipment is attached to this piece of equipment. You have vehicle information, notes, safety notes, sources, vendors, suppliers, manufacturers that can provide this piece of equipment if you need to order a new one, your services, which is your PMs for that particular piece of equipment. You have your service history, your downtime history, your parts list, your work orders, and your accounts history. Okay, that's your equipment. Now, you also need to have all of your parts. So you see your parts inventory. We went through that. And then you also have to have all your services. The kind of services that I'm talking about, there's really two main kinds. You have your preventive maintenance services and inspections, but you also have repair services. And so where you add those in Express Maintenance is under the services table. And here you can see we have that air compressor 1,000 hour offline PM, meaning that this checklist needs to be done when the equipment is not running. We've got our checklist here, but then you also have your repair maintenance. Okay, not a whole lot of detail here, but we have the part name listed and we have what we're doing to that part. And the whole purpose behind that is so that you don't get on the work order data, if we're doing a repair breakdown, I don't have some kind of bogus definition of here that just says breakdown, breakdown repair or general maintenance. That doesn't help me. If the purpose of implementing maintenance management software is in order for you to have a system that can help you make improved and more accurate and intelligent business decisions, excuse me, then you got to have the proper data in here. Okay, now, so back to the services. That's why we have ballast replacement, bearing replacement, belt repair, belt replace, chuck repair. I can categorize all of these, and so that I can just look at the repair work. So here's all of my repair services, and of course you probably have a lot more. Okay, so that's your equipment, services, and parts. You combine all of those, and that's where you're going to get your the three stools that are necessary for this this asset management software. And a couple other things that you should probably be aware of is you can store company data here. So your suppliers, vendors, manufacturers, kind of like a Rolodex. This list is also used throughout the software. So like on the equipment, if I go to sources, this is going to pull from that list so that I can identify that vendor, that source on the equipment. You also have cost centers. So if you want to break down your maintenance GLA, your general ledger, and further break it down into different maintenance codes, you can do that and then apply those to work orders and parts usage and different labor usage. That way you can break down your maintenance budget even easier. You're going to have sites and locations. So each one of these is a different site. And then you click on the site and you can actually see a breakdown of its locations within the site. And then that's what you're adding parts and equipment to. So here, this air compressor is in the maintenance shop, and it's in that facility, the industrial fabrication facility. And then you also have your employee section. Here's a list of all your employees, both Express Maintenance users and Express Request users. If I pick somebody, you'll have their information, their labor, their burden labor rate, and you can give them certain access to different parts of Express Maintenance. This is where you give them their username and password. If they're a requester, then they just get a requester name without access to Express Maintenance. And that's so that you can create logins for both Express Maintenance and Express Request and be able to identify what parts of the software and what sites and locations that they should have access to. And that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to stop here. Hopefully this is enough to get a lot of your questions answered. And I would just say that if you do have questions, feel free to give us a call or email us. You can email sales@expressmaintenance.com to get anybody on our sales team, and they'll respond to you. Or you go to our website, you can book a demo, you can book a consult for a maintenance engineer, and all kinds of things. So if you have any questions, please get a hold of us, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.